appreciate you jumping on here. I'll let you kind of go through your history of how long you've been a realtor. But for those of you that are watching, the reason I'm having Tammy on here is because I'm in the Des Moines market, Des Moines, Iowa, right? And I do have clients that want to invest in Des Moines and also around the state of Iowa. And Tammy's actually on the border of Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota even. And so I wanted to have her on just to give her an idea, or give you an idea of what that market is looking like, whether it's investing in large commercial units, ag land, flip rentals, turnkey rentals, all of that in the Sioux City area and in the market. And she can kind of educate us, both you and I, on that market. So Tammy, I'll kind of turn this over to you. Just give us a quick intro of how long you've been in business, what's your kind of primary focus, and I'll start asking questions after that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Darson. I'm Tammy, and I have my associate here, Mark. Say hello.
Hello.
Mark and I work very closely in the commercial realm. I've been licensed for 13 years in Iowa, South Dakota, and Nebraska. My primary focus as of late is new construction. I do have a new construction company and commercial. So I lead the commercial team here at KW in Sioux City, and starting our commercial division in the Okoboji area. So I'm ready to answer any questions you have.
Yeah. So commercial, I'm always intrigued with the designation of commercial, and I know Keller, every agency does it a little bit different. So commercial in your market, what's last year, what's the type of properties that you sold that would, because new home wouldn't be commercial, right?
No, I was just giving you the history on myself.
Yeah.
No, new homes is not commercial.
But maybe the development of the area. Let me just ask this, rentals, like new construction built for purpose as rentals. Have you had anything like that?
I personally do not do that. I build and sell and go on to the next. I have done that in the past, not necessarily my new construction, but when someone comes along that wants to do a custom, we list their house. Now, this was before the market got extremely hot. Yes, would buy their house and rent it out to someone else for a while.
But there's no straight cul-de-sac of all rentals.
Nope, I've never dealt personally with that.
Does your area have that at all yet? No one's doing it.
No, not for rentals. No. Our market here residentially is extremely hot, so houses just go. Rentals, you're definitely looking for your commercial investors to buy up a bunch of houses and rent those back. We don't have a ton of executive rentals. We have your normal, just nice rentals that $1,200 to $1,400 a month.
Cool. Can you give us some about the economics of Sioux City in that area of size, population, big employers, wages? What's that look like?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do this one, Mark, or do you want me to?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So we have right around 100,000 people in our population in this tri-state area. I would say I'm not sure what the median is as far as income. Do you?
I'm not sure right offhand.
Right. I'd have to look into that, but I would say household income 45 to 50 if I were to guess, which might be a guess. We deal with a lot of investors on our commercial side as well, as you do.
Yep.
I think the biggest people that we have employers is Sabre and
Tyson,
BPI. We have a lot of packing places. I mean, definitely labor.
Yep. What's Sabre?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sabre, they do cell towers, big towers. So they do a lot of welding. So very big operation.
Cool.
Yeah. We do more factory and meat
a lot of blue collar factory work type stuff is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Yep. That's definitely what Sioux City is.
Has that changed over the last 10 years? Does it look like it's going to change in the future?
No.
Yep. Cool.
We have other businesses moving in and bringing in more employees and creating more job opportunities. But we're a very blue collar community here.
Makes sense. Cool. So you mentioned before we started recording, you mentioned that the downtown district and the city's putting a lot of effort into revitalizing certain areas. Tell us a little bit about that, what that looks like, how, if I told you I wanted to buy 10 properties on a block, could you do that? Or is it, what's that look
You
like?
could potentially buy 3 or 4 in an area. But yes, if you came to us and you said, we have $10 million to spend. Okay, well, your $10 million might be able to buy you 10 buildings, but then we would definitely give you a list of names of the people that you could contact to help facilitate the rehab of those buildings, because there is a lot of different programs. Some of them are in opportunity zones, which I know this much about, just enough to know that they're a good thing. They're very similar to a 1031 exchange, and it is protected when you go to sell in an 8-year or a 10-year time frame. There are some grants that the city has to help put those buildings back in a beautiful state. And right now, it seems like a lot of the rehabs and the heavy rehabs, they're going to office space on the main floor and then nicer units, living spaces.
So you're kind of talking more like the square or like downtown, not necessarily houses, single families close to downtown. Okay.
Right. Now we do have a portfolio. If you do have an investor of someone, we do have an entire area that Aaron has.
Yeah.
And those are single family houses, but they're being sold as a whole entire package. I don't remember how many properties, 30, 40 maybe?
Possibly, yes.
Yeah. And what I would suggest is taking it all down and building that back up.
What do you mean by that? Like buying it all and then rehabbing one at a time and then like selling them as they go, or just keeping them as rentals? Like what would that?
I think those would be better off just as rentals, but then taking out some of the homes and putting up multi-units.
Is the city
There's an area that's a bluff so the views would be incredible of the city and over the river and over the Hard Rock. And that definitely has a lot of potential for growth there.
Is the city pretty favorable in allowing you to tear down a couple single families and put up a multifamily?
It depends on the zoning, but I would say that our city is they're wanting the areas to be beautiful and to be rehabbed. So I've had to change or go to the city council to get some zonings changed, and they've been very favorable for that.
That's awesome.
They work well with us with that.
That's good. That's a breath of fresh air from Des Moines.
You guys are a little bit more challenged.
Very more handcuffed.
We have to jump through the hoops, and as long as we do that, we don't do things and ask for forgiveness later. They do work with us pretty well.
That's cool. So on the just elementary for a single family, what's your median home sale price, and then what for a rental, I guess I should say, and then what does it rent for? What is that kind of ratio that you guys have in your market?
Well, Mark and I are cap rate people. I mean, that's the first thing we look at. Where just because, if you invested it all, you have to have a return on your money. And it looks a lot different if you have cash to just use. And are you okay with that? Or do you have to use the bank? And when I do my classes on cap rates, it's way different than what you learn, because we're going to look and see what your rate of return is on the money that you've invested in. If you have to have a loan on it, on your property, and you're not bringing in enough rent to make the loan payment, I would suggest you walk away, right? So, some people,
I was just going to say, man, if you said that to anyone in Denver, they'd be like, we can't buy anything, right? So it depends on the area, but I understand. A little bit of cash flow, I just need a little bit.
You need some cash flow. Absolutely. So I do look at things like that. I would say our people try to buy rentals around here for anywhere from 120 to 150, but it just depends on the rents. The rents stay pretty stable around here between $1,000 and $1,300 a month.
Okay. What do property taxes run in the area?
Depends on the area because we're in sections. So it really, really depends on the area. Nebraska taxes are really high. South Dakota's are high. But I would say in Sioux City area, I would say depends on how expensive the house is.
I know.
$2,000 to $5,000.
Yeah. So $100,000 house, it's going to be around 2,000.
Yeah, probably 1,900 to 2,100.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's that's 2/3 of what the taxes are here. So our taxes are pretty high here in Des Moines.
Yeah, you get over the river into Nebraska, they're pretty frightening. And South Dakota, it's a little bit where we're at in South Dakota. It's a pretty high-end neighborhood just over that bridge, and those taxes are. Is it a consistency of investors that are moving or investing, whether they pick Sioux City or is Sioux City in all 3 states then? Yes.
Okay.
So North Sioux is in South Dakota, South Sioux is in Nebraska, and then Sioux City is in Iowa.
Okay. Is there one of those that more investors seem to go to?
It depends what you're looking for.
Okay.
So, for instance, restaurants are a lot of South Sioux. We have a heavy Hispanic population, so we have a lot of Mexican restaurants there. And so a lot of people go there. So the restaurant business, you want to be in that area. Well, a lot of them do. You have your heavy rehab. You're looking at Sioux City multi-units. They don't care. They're going to go wherever we can find multi-units. Yep. And I would say, as far as our market goes,
South Dakota with the no income tax, a lot of businesses have been moving that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're building a lot of contractor units, Morton style buildings with some offices and restrooms. Those are huge.
Yeah. Oh, we could sell 1 million of those. I wish we had 15 listings of just that.
Mm-hmm. Of a Morton building with a bathroom and storage
overhead
in the back.
Doors. Yeah, like overhead 14-foot, 16-foot overhead doors. We can sell those all day long, and for premium price.
Does the counties where you could build those at? Are they picky about you building them?
They have to be in certain areas, and I just sang that Sioux City accolades, but there is one area they don't want those in at all, and we can't convince them that it would be a good thing. So
yeah, the different counties around Polk County, which is Des Moines, right? They all have different quirks and regulations of how you can build a Morton building, what the septic has to be, can it be a house or is it a house? It's very convoluted. So I wondered about that.
Yeah, well, if we get into the Schaus conversation, that has to be in certain areas as well, and it can't be in town. So you are looking at, it has to be on the outskirts. So then you are looking at septic costs and costs and
Cool. Let's see here. What about larger? When someone says they want to buy a 50-unit apartment complex, multifamily, is there, how many of those are in town? Is that a thing? What's that look like?
Well, our team operates a little bit differently. When, this whole thing where the housing shortage and all of that, we kind of piggybacked on that. So we were, as leaders in our company, talking to our agents about your buyer needs becomes your listings. Okay, so you have to go find it. So we're back to, we're not waiting for people to come to us. We go to them. And Mark here is the best person I have on my team, hands down. Mark, we have a huge board. Here's all of our buyers. Let's go find it. And he'll go door knock, or he'll just pick up the phone and find out who the owner is. And we get most of our business that way right now, because people really aren't looking at selling. And if you have all these apartments that are 50-unit building and you're making a good return on that, you're really not thinking, oh, maybe I'll sell because I'm making money. But if you have an investor that's willing to pay, way more than what they paid for it, that might be looking a little bit
worth
different.
the conversation, right?
It's worth the conversation.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say that, and when we do have those, if they are a good rate of return, they don't last long.
What's a cap rate on like a multifamily building?
We try to get 9, but it's more like 7.
Yep. That's big difference, right? It's fun to talk to an agent that really understands cap rates. When you say you try for 9, but you end up getting 7, totally understand. We try for 7 and get 5. So, but is that on actuals? Like, is that how you kind of calculate cash or cap rates, the actuals, or is it a modified pro forma expectations? What's that look like?
Oh, we can spend an hour
I know.
This, right? So, every case is completely different. Every single thing that comes across your desk. So I would say between Mark and I'm more like, I'm going to just do a skim here, and I'm going to look at what it's bringing in. And I look more sometimes at potential, depending on the property, on, well, if you have someone, and so I'm working cap rates like that. Mark, he puts all of the expenses on the spreadsheet. We're bringing in this, and he is definitely in actual.
Gotcha.
Like, this is exactly what it is. And when we're pitching it, and some investors that have a higher risk tolerance, they're fine with 5% for a while and looking at what the potential might be. Then you have some investors that are coming in and they're a little bit newer. They don't have the risk tolerance, so they have to get a better cap rate.
Yep.
So
or the bank requires that, DCA,
right.
DSCR. So, okay. No, that makes sense. It's fun that you guys have that partnership, because you guys can both, toggle between the two.
And one thing, investors from different regions have different standards. Like you said, you're at 7 and hope to get 6 or 5. Well, if your people come up here, they might be able to get property, because Sioux City people are used to 8, 9%, and they'll pass on a property. Whereas maybe somebody from a different region would say, hey, that's better than we're getting at home.
Yep.
So,
that's always, for sure.
Every deal is different. Every single deal is different.
So, yes. Cool. We're going to switch gears a little bit. You mentioned you guys are getting into the Okoboji, the lakes area. So for those of you who are watching this that don't know Okoboji, it's, a Midwest attraction of lakes, boats, parties. It's vacation home extravaganza. Let's just put it that way. So tell us, Tammy, how you guys are jumping into Okoboji. What does that look like? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Our market center just added an office in Okoboji. I think it's been, a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
And we've started in this market center in Siouxland, we've started a property management person. I would like to say that we've grown it to a team, but right now it's just a person. And I wanted to grow that market in Okoboji because it's vacation rental.
Yep. That's what I was going to say. Has to be. Yep.
It's a great way to generate extra income for people and the market center.
Yep.
So we are moving in that direction. And I feel as though I need to learn that market a little bit better before I speak on it, because I don't really know anything about it. In fact, we just had our grand opening up there, and I was talking to a gentleman who wants to do the property management and the short-term vacation rental. And I was talking to our broker, and I'm like, all right, well, it's time to start the commercial division up here too. So I'm going to be up here weekly getting this going. And he's like, what do you know about the market? I said, it's small. That's all I know. Like, I will learn it. I will learn it. I'm sure that they thrive during the summer, spring and summer, and they're starting to slow down in the winter. So I just have to jump in there and spend some time and learn it.
Yep. I was guessing the vacation rental scene was going to be a part of that, because that's it's super fascinating. I'm on a few masterminds with people across the country, and that was a pretty big uptick, and they're starting to see it kind of slow down now, the buying vacation rentals as a primary. And obviously everything's slowing down a little bit, but they're kind of surprised by that. So curious how that goes. I'm excited for you.
Oh, I think it will be great. I'm the forever optimist, though. I think it will be great. I know our market center here, we go to Okoboji just as a social every year, and we're having a hard time finding space.
Right.
And I think it will be a wonderful thing. I'm excited about it.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll wrap this up. If someone wanted to reach out to you and just, have the same conversation, but more investor, like one-on-one with you, Tammy, how can they reach out to you, and what would be the best, point of contact, or how to do that?
Well, my phone number is 712-251-3945. My email address is Tammy, tammydoyel @gmail.com, or you can reach out to Mark here.
712-251-0684. Mark Hansen with an O. Mark Hansen at kw.com.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on here and spending the time and just educating people about, another part of Iowa that you can invest in. And I would say anyone that wants to get into kind of high-end vacation rentals, that Okoboji world, to, piggyback off you guys and learn from you guys. I mean, I think there's a huge opportunity there.
I do too.
So cool. I'm excited for it. And if I have anyone reach out to me, I'll send them your way. And again, appreciate the time, and thank you very much.
Likewise.
See ya.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.